Hi, my name is Madeleine van Roechoudt. I'm a third-generation apple orchardist, and I'd like to tour you around my orchard. My grandfather moved with his family from Belgium to the Okanagan in 1949, and he bought this property then. He had his master's in horticulture and had heard of the Okanagan, and it was renowned for its dry climate as a prime fruit-growing region. So he came here and started growing high-density tree fruits. Some of the reasons that we prefer high density is that it's a shorter time from planting to first crop, so the production time is a lot lower than the standard planting, those really big trees you see. And it's also more efficient to work in. So if you've got the high density, as you'll see down here, it's more like a wall of fruit. So when you're picking, it's more efficient to use your ladder instead of placing your ladder all the way around the tree. This block was planted in 2000, so these trees are about 11 or 12 years old. And you can see one of the reasons that we're able to grow them in this high density is because ambrosia produces fruit on these little branches. So because it can fruit on something so small, we can plant them so close together. This planting space is 2 by 10, so the trees are 2 feet apart and the rows are 10 feet apart. So that's 1,700 trees per acre, 20 to 30 apples per tree. When we're talking about high density, that's as high density as it gets. In the orchard industry, we're always looking for the king bloom, which is the flower in the center of the cluster, and it's the first one to open, and it produces the best quality fruit and the largest apples. So we always want the king to open. We wait for the bees to come and pollinize it, and when the sides start to open is when we start to do our thinning, because we don't want all of the flowers to be pollinated. So here we can look at a cluster and we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers. The king is the one in the center where the petals fell off, so it's already being pollinated. And the apple will already have started forming right at the base of right in here is where the apple is forming. And that'll grow very significantly in the next 2 weeks, and that will be very defined as where the apple is coming from. The trees on the driveway here are crab apples, and we use them as pollinizers because in order for the ambrosia or the gala to be fertilized with pollen, they need pollen from another variety. So the bee needs to land and collect this pollen and then land over there and collect pollen, and by doing that he transfers the pollen from this tree to that tree, which is what sets the fruit. I wanted to talk about harvest. Ambrosia is a multiple pick variety, which means that we pick it more than once, and each time we select the apples that have the most color. So those picks are probably about a week apart, and each time we highlight and select the fruit that has the most color, about 40% or more of redness. It's a very selective process, and our pickers are trained to be able to identify both the amount of redness and the degree of redness. So how much of the fruit is red and what is the intensity of redness? And then we go through each block 2 or sometimes 3 times to get those prime, high-quality apples. So when we pick our fruit in bins, we take it to the packing house and they put it into storage, either regular storage, which is more similar to, say, your refrigerator, obviously in a big room, or into what we say CA storage, which is controlled atmosphere storage. So in CA, they control the level of carbon dioxide, which inhibits the apple from continuing to ripen. So by being in that type of storage where the gases are controlled, the fruit can stay in storage for 6 to 8 months, depending on the variety. So that's how you can have ambrosias that come out in March and still be so crisp and juicy.